Today, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious root vegetable medley using parsnips, carrots, turnips, and red onion. It only takes about 45 to 50 minutes to make, and by the end, you should have a very sweet yet savory meal. We're going to start by preheating the oven to 425. And then for our actual roots, we're using some parsnips, some turnips, and a few carrots. All of them are about medium sized. Go ahead and wash them thoroughly before we start cutting. Start by cutting off the tips of your parsnips, as well as flattening out big ends. And we want to try to cut these into some pretty evenly sized pieces via volume, meaning as I go up and cut, I'm cutting a little bit thinner this way as they get thicker up the root. And when you get to the big parts, we're just going to cut them right down the middle and into nice bite-sized chunks. Get those into the container for later and repeat that process with the carrots. You can put those in the same container as the parsnips. And for the turnip, we're of course going to cut off the ends, cut down right through the middle. Then you're going to quarter it like so. And this one's large enough to where I'll probably cut it into thirds, giving me chunks about this size. Get those into a separate container. So that way you've got your root vegetables sorted here, carrots, parsnips, turnips. Now grab yourself a good sized red onion. And of course, chop off the ends, cut right in half, peel the skin off. And for these, you want to keep into fairly big pieces. So I like to cut mine into about 1/2-inch slices. So you can see my chunks are about that size. And then get those into a separate container. I'm not crying, you're crying. Why are these so strong today? Oh God. Am I just weak? And then finally, you're gonna want a knob of ginger about 1 to 2 inches thick. Mine's pretty thick in the center here, so I'm only gonna use this inch worth. Using a spoon, you can peel this really easily. Just take the concave part, scrape it across, and you should just be able to peel that skin right off. And what we're gonna do, I've cut mine in half here to get it down to a manageable size, is we're gonna cut this as thinly as we can. So you get some slices like this. And do the same thing to a couple of cloves of garlic. Just like that. You can go ahead and put those with the ginger. And finally, throw together a little seasoning here, just so you have it prepped. I'm doing about a teaspoon of oregano and about 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. You don't need much. And now we're about to move the party to the stove. Go ahead and get yourself a nice big pan. I'm gonna use stainless steel, but you can use nonstick. You could even use a cast iron. We're just gonna use it to brown the vegetables and then bake it off in the oven. Go ahead and put your pan on the medium-high heat. We want it nice and hot before we put the vegetables in. And go ahead and grab yourself a little bit of chicken stock. You're not gonna need much, maybe 1/2 cup to a cup. All right, my pan feels plenty hot. We're gonna add just a little bit of olive oil. Actually pretty generous with it, maybe a tablespoon or so. And we're gonna start by searing off the carrots and parsnips. You should hear a good sizzle like so when you drop them in. Add a bit of salt and then toss them around a bit and then leave them alone. We're gonna give them a couple minutes just to sear here and then we'll give them a stir. If it gets too loud or you see smoke starting to appear, turn it down a hair. After a couple minutes, we can go ahead and give these a little bit of a stir and you'll start to see a beautiful browning on your carrots and your parsnips. And again, you're just gonna wanna let it sit for another minute or so. Time is an ingredient too. And if you mess with these too much, you won't get that beautiful Maillard reaction. Don't force it, just let it happen. All right, after about another minute, we can go ahead and add in our turnips. But first, pour in about another tablespoon of olive oil. Go ahead and give that a serious stir and try to make sure your turnips are all touching the surface of the pan. After a minute or so, we can go ahead and give these another stir. And you can see some of that browning already starting to happen on the turnips. Gorgeous. Right there is exactly what you want to see. If you can, try to flip your turnips so the side you didn't brown is now browning. It's a little extra work, but you'll thank yourself for it. And with that first turn is also a good place to put in our red onion. Go ahead and just throw that right on the top and pause for a moment to salt once again. After another minute or so, we can go ahead, give this another stir, pushing down our red onions just a little bit so they're in the heat more. I love how beautiful and vibrant the color of these root vegetables are. You never think you'd have something look so pretty from just stuff in the ground. I really think it's truly amazing what nature can provide for us. About every minute or so, we can give this another stir. You can see mine starting to smoke a lot. And when that happens, you do want to keep them moving a little bit more often, maybe every 30 seconds. We're going to be careful not to burn anything. It can be easy to do at this point. If you need to, just turn down your heat a hair. My onions have softened quite a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this down on the low for a moment. And I'm going to pour in about 2 tablespoons of butter, as well as my ginger and garlic that we sliced up before. And of course, we're gonna stir all that together. You can see my onions are starting to soften up a lot, which is good. That's about right where we want them. And all we're really doing just for a minute or two is letting that butter roast the garlic and ginger. You'll start to smell it and you'll know it's ready for the next step. My ginger and garlic is very aromatic at this point. I'm gonna shift the heat back up to high for a moment. And this isn't necessary, but I like to deglaze the pan with just a couple tablespoons or so of white wine. On top of that, we're gonna add chicken stock, about 1/2 cup, or until you're about 1/2 inch up the sides of of your pan. You don't need much at all. And we're also gonna top with the seasoning mix we made earlier. Finally, freshly ground black pepper. Give it one final stir, and then we're gonna bring this up to a rolling boil before we throw it into the oven. Mine is nice and aggressive, so we're gonna throw this into the oven for about 20 to 30 minutes, or until your vegetables are as tender as you like them. And look at that, beautiful fork tender, ready to serve. And that's how you make a delicious root vegetable medley in about 45, 50 minutes. This is a great meal, or even just a side if you don't want something too difficult to make, yet you also wanna impress the people you're serving. Or if you're just trying to eat a little bit better, this is all root vegetables. It's got tons of fiber, antioxidants, and it doesn't taste like doo-doo. One of my favorite parts about being a chef is taking something that tastes disgusting and making it into something delicious. Because let's face it, other than the carrots and maybe red onion, we don't eat anything in this when it's raw. If you guys like this dish and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that follow button. And let me know down in the comments if there's something disgusting you would never eat, but you want to make into something good enough to try. For a long time, I didn't like turnips because of how bitter they were. This recipe changed that for me entirely. Thanks for watching, and happy cooking.